Hello, everyone, or should I say bonjour. Welcome to the Your Overseas Home webinar on buying in France. It's great to have you with us, whether you're watching live or our recorded version, which is available through our on-demand webpage. So you're watching this, hopefully because you're interested in purchasing a home in France and maybe moving there as well. Perhaps you're even ready to start looking seriously for a home there. But just how ready are you? The aim of this session is to ensure you're in the best possible position to move forward, which means having the right people helping you along the way and knowing what needs to be done to make your transaction a success. To do this, we'll be meeting and chatting to three specialists, your dream team for France, if you like, whose combined expertise should make your real estate purchase in France a smooth, enjoyable, and a safe experience. If you're about to start property hunting in France, the next hour should be invaluable preparation. So let's meet our experts. They are your property agent or agency, one that has proven experience of helping overseas buyers, including Brits, Americans, and other nationalities. And today, that is Chris Summers from Beaux Villages Immobilier. Second is your independent bilingual lawyer, who today is Hervé Blatry from Tees Law. And last but not least, your currency specialist, who is Tracy Armitt from Smart Currency Exchange. Quick sound check. We're all there. You can all hear me? Yeah.
Yes, all good.
Yep, absolutely.
Right. Just to let everyone know, Hervé's had some technical problems with his camera, so we can't see his face, but we can hear him, which is the most important thing. So we're lucky to have such a broad range of knowledge and experience of the French property market together on one panel. Panelists have given up their time to be here, so let's really make use of them and get as much information as possible. Today's webinar is Q&A format. We've got around 60 minutes. I'll start by asking each of the panelists to introduce themselves briefly, give you a bit of background about their companies and how they can help you, the services that they offer. And then I'm going to address each of them individually for about 15 minutes, and we're going to run through what we consider the key questions, the key things that you should be thinking about, you should know about in their specialist areas when you're buying in France. We also want to hear from you, though, our audience. It's a great opportunity to tap our panelists for information. So you can ask them questions by using the questions tool, which you should see on your dashboard. If you just type your question there, I can see them, and then I'll field them to the relevant panelists at a convenient time. It's probably be towards the end of the session. Just to remind you again, this is being recorded, so you can revisit it after watching now, and you can forward it on to friends, family, anyone who you think might need it. Okay, Chris Summers in France from Beaux Villages. Just tell us a bit about your own experience and Beaux Villages as a company.
Yes, personally, I've been in estate agency for over 35 years, mainly the UK, but the last 5 years in France. I'm based in the Haute-Vienne, so just south of central France, in southwest France. Nearest big city is Limoges, and the nearest airport is Limoges. Beaux Villages are a group of agencies. We have 22 properties across southwest France, specialise in French, British, UK, Dutch, and American buyers, lots of nationalities. We're quite different. We have offices. A lot of agents in France don't have offices, but we do. And we're a completely bilingual team, and we're here to basically help right from the very first point of contact to inquire about a house, to the viewing, pushing you towards the legal side, the whole side, the move in, the visas. We help with the whole process, so we're to hold your hand the whole way through.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Hervé, do you want to tell us about your experience as a lawyer, as an advocate, helping foreign buyers and British buyers and Americans and different nationalities in France, and just tell us a bit about Tees Law and the French division of the company.
Yes, absolutely. So I'm an advocate at the Paris bar. I've been qualified for over 30 years now. I've done real estate all my career, and I joined Tees over 20 years ago now to set up the French desk and help English people purchase property in France and do all sorts of other things. I've helped them with inheritance as well, estate planning, litigation, commercial deals as well. So it's a very broad spectrum. Keys is a firm which is over 100 years old. It's based mainly in Hertfordshire and also in Essex. We've got about 6 offices, and we are over 400 people strong. And it's a full-service firm with various departments, among which the French desk, which now includes 2 lawyers, an assistant, and a paralegal.
Perfect. Thank you very much. And thirdly, Tracy from Smart Currency Exchange. Tell us about yourself and, of course, how Smart Currency Exchange can help people today.
Okay, hi, my name's Tracy. I am based in our Costa Blanca office in Spain. I have been overseas for over 23 years now, so have actually done the move like yourselves overseas. I have got family and children over here. My background while I've been working overseas has been in customer service, real estate, and I've been working with Smart Currency Exchange now for nearly 4 years. Smart Currency Exchange has got our head office based in Hammersmith in London. We also have 2 overseas offices, the office that I am based in Costa Blanca, and we also have one in Costa del Sol. Smart Currency Exchange has been operating for over 20 years now, and we're fully regulated and authorised by the Financial Conduct Authority. So we have very strict guidelines that we do need to follow in order for us to be fully authorised and regulated with them. And you can check all our registration information on their website also.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone. Okay, Chris, let's start with you. How you can help people, the role of the agent, Beaux Villages. Let's kick off. Just give us an idea of the area that Beaux Villages covers, and just the geographic area. And the other thing I think people should know about is how your business works. And you mentioned about your group of companies, but that's really important because the connections that you have with the agents have around an area means that you really only need to work with one person or one company, and those relationships you have between agents means that you're covering a large area with one company.
Yeah, that's right, Richard. We cover basically from the Creuse and the Corrèze, which is kind of just slightly north of Limoges, and then we go right down through the Dordogne, the Lot, Périgueux, down that way. We have a new office in Provence, right down in Aix-Provence. So that's fairly new to us, but it's the whole of the southwest. So yeah, down to Bergerac, all of that area. So it's a massive geographic. Most of it's the Nouvelle Aquitaine area, which is about the size of Austria. The Nouvelle Aquitaine is about the size of Austria. That's to give you some perspective. So France is a vast country. But yeah, the way we work is if you make an inquiry on a house, it happens to be one of my houses. We'll deal with that, but also there's anything else my colleagues have got, or you fancy a property in a different part of the Nouvelle Aquitaine, I will deal with that as well. I will also liaise with my colleague and plan your viewing trip. So you have one point of contact then we refer you through Smart Currency. We work closely with them. We liaise with the notaires and work with them for you, but you have one point of contact with us all the time. So you're not trying to ring 5 different people for 5 different reasons. One point of contact with us, and we'll deal with everything for you, from viewing to making the offer, dealing with notaire, signing contracts, moving over, removals, currency exchange. The whole thing will be done. Visa things as well. We can help you with visa. So we're very keen to help people with I hate the word one-stop shop, but it's kind of what we are really. You don't need to ring 10 different agents. You can ring one and we deal with the whole thing for you from start to finish. And that's really important. That it makes it a lot easier when it's quite stressful anyway, moving countries.
Great, thank you. And the other thing that you've touched on there, just by what you were saying, is that as a French estate agent, you're much more than an estate agent in the traditional sense that we might know in the UK, or if you were buying in your own country. I mean, you are your clients' eyes and ears on the ground.
Yeah.
You are a one-stop shop for all sorts of things, which is a really important thing when you're buying abroad, because it's a different country. There's hundreds, if not thousands, of miles between your home country and where you're buying. So you need to work with someone like yourself who you can trust to not just find you good properties, but be there to help you with all the other things that you need when you
Yeah.
Buy a house abroad, set up in their financial profile, and all those things.
Yeah, we're very conscious that it's a massive move. It's not just a house move; it's a country move. It's often children moving, schools, visas, bank accounts, house insurance, health insurance. Getting into the system here, all of it can be helped with our colleagues and with us, and we can do all of that and handhold you through the whole lot. We have associates to help us, but you can have one point of contact, which does make it an awful lot easier.
Okay, thank you. Just before we look a bit more at your role, be good to give the audience an idea of how amazing France is in its property. I mean, it's always been good value for money compared to certainly the UK.
Yeah.
The space issue, obviously, you've got far more space in France. You've got thousands, tens of thousands of character homes around. Just give us an idea of what most of your clients are looking for and sort of prices that people could, a sensible price budget, if you like, to come and achieve that detached cottage with an acre or half an acre around you in your area. Or
Sure. Yeah, obviously, France is a beautiful place to live. It reminds me very much of what it was like in the UK 30 years ago when you had half day closing on a Wednesday, nothing open on a Sunday, and everyone was a bit more chilled out, not as fast. And it's a great place to live. The climate's great. Come further south, you've got a great climate. Property, obviously, it varies vastly on where you go. I'm sort of the north of the southwest part, so we're slightly cheaper. The OVN is quite rural, semi-rural, but you can get a very nice 3-bedroom detached house in the country for 100,000, 125,000 euro here with a nice acre of garden. You can get a townhouse if you want to be in the middle of a medieval town. You can get a nice townhouse for 130, 140, maybe 3-floor townhouse with lots of big rooms and fireplaces and courtyard garden. And if you want to go bigger, if you want to have a 4-bedroom house with a swimming pool, barn conversion with 2 acres, a bit further out of town, you're paying 200, 225,000 for that. Obviously, if you go further south, across the Dordogne, you're probably adding 100,000 onto each of those again. If you go to the Lot, you're probably adding on 100,000. If you go down towards Provence, you're adding on a lot more. So, but yeah, if you pick up a house here in the UK, you're probably adding 4 times the value to what you get here. So it's quite a benchmark. If you're going to pay 100, 200,000 little rooms in the village where you are, you're probably going to get that for 75 here, 65,000. So 4 times as cheaper. And it's a wide range of property, and also it depends where you want to be. If you want to be able to walk to town, cycle to town, you're happy to drive to get your facilities and go out for dinner. If you're happy to drive, you'll get something cheaper again if you're prepared to travel a bit more to use your facilities.
Okay, sounds great to me. Yeah, excellent value. So you've mentioned how it's full of these great properties and how big the area that just your company covers alone, Beaux Villages. So when a client comes to you and they don't really know, it could apply to some people listening today, they don't really know exactly where they want to be, but they know they want that sort of that scenario, the detached character home, land around them, short walk to the boulangerie and a local bar, and maybe.
Yeah.
And what information do you need to get from your clients to be able to find that perfectly? Because a lot of the regions offer that.
Sure. Yeah, I think, as I said, France is a vast place, and if you don't pin down a locality you like, you could be viewing houses forever and never find one. In an ideal world, you will find a town you like or an area you like, and you'll look within maybe a 20k circle of that area and tell the agent that that's the town you like the look and feel of that town, you want that to be your main facilities. You might have little boulangeries near your house, but you want that to be your main town. And then people tend to look within 20 to 25 kilometre circle of that town. Location is critical, because if you buy the house, beautiful house, and it's in the wrong location, you find yourself moving quite quickly. If you find the location, it's much easier to settle. It's much easier to find a house. When you come out on a viewing trip, we can spend much more time with you because we're not traveling miles and miles to see property. But yeah, pinpointing a town you like and an area you like is crucial. It will make your journey and your viewing time so much better. Some people need a hospital. They might have health conditions when they're coming out here, so they need access to a hospital. That might be important to you. We can help with that. and you might need a train station. You might as well actually know where you want to be able to go. A lot of people come here and don't realise that a train station would be really useful, and a lot of small towns have them, and they're very cheap to run trains. It's cheap to get on the train. So if you want to go off and do things, you want to use a train, let the agent know you want to use a train station, and then we can pinpoint towns in the area that will work for you, that will have a train station and help that. If you need a hospital, we can focus on towns that are within a 20-minute drive of a hospital. So it's your own personal needs, but pinpointing a location is absolutely perfect because it will help us a lot.
Do you find that these locations that tick all those boxes, they've already been found by a lot of expats, whether they're British or from further afield, and they already tend to have small populations of expats around them? Maybe just give us an idea of, you can name a few of these towns if you like, so people can aim for them.
Okay.
Just in your region.
Yeah. Well, I'm based in a town called Bellac, Bellac, which is a medieval town, population of about 3,000. I personally live down by the river, but we're at the bottom of the town, but you can go, we're only a 10-minute walk into town. But there's probably, its population is about 3,000. I think about 10% are English speaking, whether that's might not necessarily be English, could be American, could be Australian, but 10% speak English, and there's about 11% of the homes here are owned by overseas people, international people. If you go to further afield, Bergerac is a place obviously down in the Dordogne, got the airport. Again, that's got a really big expat focus. Not too much that you can't mix in with the French and really get involved in the French community. If you go somewhere like Eymet, Eymet, which is a beautiful town, it's one of our most successful areas, one of our busiest areas, that has a big expat. That's much bigger population of expat. A lot of the shops, restaurants are owned by expats, not just English, but from other countries. And it's a real nice vibe if you want that. And it's a very, very affluent area, quite a lot more expensive than here. But, it depends. If you're going to go and move to a little hamlet, you're going to have more French neighbours than you are English. You're going to live in a town, you're going to have more English neighbours and more expats.
Okay, I know Bellac. I've actually stayed there. Very, very sweet place. Yeah, there's a really sweet bar just down by the river, right down the riverbank. There's a little bar there.
That's it.
I think there was an English guy running actually. Yeah.
Yeah, still does.
Yeah. Very nice. I might have to stop there again.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's just look closer at the journey that clients have with you and how you help them. So hypothetically, someone contacts you after this webinar and they're ready to engage your services.
Yeah.
What will happen next? Presumably you'll start building a profile up and you'll contact them. So just talk us through that, and then the point where I guess the important step is they come out to France, and then you'll show them properties. So just how you get to that point, and then also it'll be good to outline a typical viewing trip. How many days, how many properties is a sensible amount to view, etc.
No problem. Yeah, if you go on our website and you see a property you like, beauxvillages.com, you'll make an inquiry through that. That inquiry will then go to the agent that's mandated that house, because they'll know most about it. They're the best person to talk about it because they've seen there and physically listed it. They will probably then think of others that might suit you. They'll phone you, they'll have a conversation with you, find out exactly what your criteria is, qualify you better in a much better way, things you must have and things that are more choice. And then that helps us plan other properties. We would then say to you, we'll send you other ones and you might like the look of them. We don't tend to start booking a viewing trip till about 3 weeks before you're due to come out, because properties sell. And then we don't want to start booking viewing trips. So ideally, before you're coming out, if you contact us about 3 weeks before you're coming with a list of the reference numbers from our website that you like, we will then contact all of those, make sure they're set up. We know the days you're coming over. We'll plan the days for you. We don't tend to do more than 3 viewings a day, purely because we tend to be at a house for about an hour and a half. And then could have an hour traveling time in between. We like to go for a bit of lunch with you as well, take you for coffee in the areas that we're looking in, show you the area as well. So it's not just about the houses, you need to be comfortable with the area. So we don't do more than 3 a day, otherwise it gets a little bit too much and you start forgetting what you've seen. But we'll arrange all of those. You can come with us, or you can follow us, or we can meet you at various points, because you might have viewings with other agents as well in between ours. So we can set up all the viewing points. We'll send you all the Google coordinates for you, so you know where to meet us and everything else. So we set all that up. And when we see you, we'll give you a brochure for the house. We'll give you the parcel cadastry plan, shows you the land, the parcel numbers, the buildings. We'll give you as much information on the property as we can, so you've got all of that. You can see the layout of the land and the boundaries and everything else. We'll then take you on those viewings, and if you decide to make an offer on one of those, we'll obviously liaise with the seller and put that forward for you, and then we'll pick it all up from there. On the process of the legal side will start, which I'm sure you're going to talk about, but we'll get you to sign a letter of intent basically once you make an offer. You need to confirm if you're buying cash that you've got the funds. If you're getting a mortgage, you need to confirm that the mortgage is in place to help us put that offer forward and get a sale agreed for you. But the viewing trip is important. Say 3 weeks before, get in contact, give us a list of the ones you like, and we'll draw up an itinerary for you, send that to you, all the meeting points, and we'll show you the towns, we'll show you nice places to eat, where the hospital is, the doctors, all that sort of thing, the station, and we'll have a nice couple of days with you. But we don't tend to do more than 3 a day, purely because it gets a little bit exhausting for you.
That makes sense, yeah, and that's quite a key thing, though, is the time that people will clients spend with you, because you're almost like a tour guide as well, because and you're getting the time you spend traveling between houses and talking, you're getting so much information from the agent, whoever's showing you, rather than if you were just driving around looking at properties on your own. So it's a really valuable few days that people come and spend with you when you're doing viewing trips. Okay, well, we're going to talk to Hervé in a minute, but I think the other thing we should really make clear is that your role and the support you give it's far from ends when you help someone make an offer and it's accepted, because you'll be there right the way through the process, as well as your lawyer or your currency specialist. But as an agent, you help clients through the process and even beyond completion. So people need help finding a builder or trying to get satellite dish, whatever. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, if you take a typical client, once they make an offer and we sign a compromise, which is your exchange of contracts, basically, we will then help you get the house insured. We'll get you insurance quotes. We'll get you various, we'll set up a bank account with you. So we'll set up a bank appointment up with a local bank. So as soon as you sign for your property and you complete, you get your attestation of ownership document. We'll take you to the bank. We'll open a bank account for you, because you'll need that. We'll help you transfer all the utility bills into your name as well. We'll go to final inspection on the day of completion before you sign, read all the meters with you, make sure you're still happy. If you're happy, we go and sign. And then, removals will be sorted during that time as well. We'll get you some removal quotes. And once people move in, I've made many friends that were buyers that came over looking for property and are really close friends now over the last 5 years, really close friends. And even if they're not, they'll often phone us and say, look, I need someone to do this. Who do you recommend? And we can tell them the people to use, the people to avoid, and the best way to do it, what they need planning wise. If they're building an extension or putting windows in, we can help them with planning, getting the planning submitted. If it's a pool, so there's people I still do stuff with now 5 years later, that they'll phone me up and say, can you help me with this? And obviously that's just, there's no charge for that. It's just part of what we do. We just become friends and we just help people keep moving forward. But the essential things to move, to get here and get registered and everything else, will all be done as part of the sales process.
Brilliant. And that's why good agents, people like you, are so invaluable for expats, foreign people buying in France. So thanks, Chris. We could talk longer, but I'm going to give the other panelists a chance. And then I'm seeing the questions are starting to come in, so I expect we'll talk to you again in a minute. Hi, Hervé. Are you there? Is Hervé there? Hello, Hervé. Not there.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, he is.
Yeah, sorry, and apologies again
hello
for
there.
my
Sorry
lack
about
of.
that.
Yeah, and again, apologies for my lack of camera. I will put our IT people onto this ASAP.
No, don't. It's okay. Don't worry. We have you here. We have you in the moment. That's the main thing. So let's turn to the legal side of buying in France now. Process and why people like yourself are so important in protecting your clients and helping them navigate the process. Let's just start. You call yourself an avocat. That's a French lawyer, is it? Is that right? So you're a qualified French lawyer.
Yes, in France there is only one profession, whereas in the UK that you have solicitors and barristers. So an avocat is like a solicitor and barrister combined. Okay, which means I can attend, do court work as well, in addition to legal advice.
So you're even more important then. Okay. And obviously you're based in the UK, so you know about you have an idea of the UK buying process and obviously the French conveyancing process. Is it fair to say that the French conveyancing process is probably fairer and if you like less aggressive than the UK, where we have gazumping? I mean, you have things like the cooling off period, and so actually it should be a more pleasant experience when you're buying in France.
Yes,
Rather than
I should think so. I mean, indeed, it's a lot less stressful in the sense that there is no gazumping. The reason being that we tend to sign the compromis de vente, which is the first contract, the equivalent of which is exchange in the UK, much earlier
yeah,
than in the UK. But however, when there are things which are left unknown for now, such as, will I obtain a mortgage, or will a planning permission be granted, etc., we put conditions precedent in there, and
yeah,
these are special types of conditions which, if they do not materialize, then the buyer is off the hook and can walk away and recover his deposit. Okay, and
okay, so
once the contract is signed by both parties, the first contract, it is binding, including
mhm,
against the vendor, and there is typically a penalty clause, usually 10% of the purchase price, which will apply to both parties. So if the vendor tries to walk away saying, "Oh, I've got a better offer," he will be liable to you for 10% of the purchase price, which of course is a big incentive not to do that. So,
yeah, yeah.
so
So
yes,
that
and
obviously
yeah,
yeah,
so
that
that
stops gazumping altogether. Then, yeah,
indeed, yes. And there is also, as you mentioned, the cooling off period, which is mandatory, so it cannot be contracted out. It's part of what we call public order rules of consumer protection. And what it is that once the compromise is signed, it is notified to the buyer, and from the day after such notification, a 10 days cooling off period runs, during which the buyer can notify his decision not to pursue, whatever the reason is. So he doesn't have to have a motive or anything like that. The only thing is that his decision needs to reach the other side within the 10 days. But,
so they could go and find somewhere they prefer and
yeah, absolutely.
land
It's
in.
consumer
Just,
protection is a big thing in France, and yeah, I mean,
yeah,
usually people don't go to the lengths of signing a contract and paying a deposit if they are not
yeah,
genuine. But and I take this
doesn't happen
opportunity to
often.
mention, in fact, there is even another type of contract apart from the compromise, which is called a unilateral promise of sale, whereby people who are not really certain, they want to, I mean, they are committed sufficiently to pay a deposit and potentially lose it. They can sign that type of contract whereby they basically purchase the exclusive right to purchase the property during a given period of time, and then by a certain deadline, they notify their decision to purchase or not. If not, then they lose the deposit, but the vendor cannot force them to purchase, whereas they could try and do that in the context of the compromise. And otherwise, the indemnity that they have paid is applied against the purchase price. So that there is that
Okay, well,
possibility as well.
that's interesting. So these contracts and different options and things. Is it better for clients to come and speak to you early in the process, so before they've found a property, so you can get to understand their requirements? There might be some estate planning to do, etc. When do you like to first speak to clients so they're best prepared for the purchase?
Yes, I would say it's entirely up to them. Now, I think the latest would be once they've found their property and decide to commit, because I mean, at that point, I can provide legal advice very quickly, including estate planning. But of course, if people before they commit, want to come and see me or contact me over the phone to discuss what can be done in terms of inheritance planning, etc., they're welcome to do so at any time. But at least they should definitely come and see me and open a file before they sign anything, because depending on how it's phrased, but a purchase offer can be legally binding and commit them to
Mm,
sign a compromise in line with the terms of the offer. So yeah, before signing anything. Yeah. And I would
okay.
add that the the notaire is only involved after the first contract is signed. So yeah, they need legal representation before.
We'll come to the notaire because we've actually just had a question about that. But
Okay.
we're going to work our way up to that point. So let it be quite useful, I think, for our listeners to understand the sort of steps towards completion. So a client, they go out looking for property with Chris from Beaux Villages. They find a property they want, and then I think you said a letter of intent. What happens at that point where an offer is accepted, and how do you ensure that they're protected up?
Right.
Along the process.
Yeah. So it's actually the first document to be signed will typically be either a letter of intent, which is less committing because it would be the equivalent sort of subject to contract offer. But if it's an offer to purchase, which is the most frequent, then it's basically binding so long as there is no condition attached. So it's like a compromise stripped down to its bare minimum. So you need to be very careful, and sometimes that's where you want to add some terms. But anyway, after that document is signed, then the vendor would take the property off the market, and very quickly the agent will circulate a compromise, a draft compromise.
Will you sign that? Will you sign that letter of intent the same day that you had your offer accepted? It's immediate? Is that what it
yes,
is?
it's very quick.
Yeah. And then after that, I think he's gone. Hello, Hervé?
Sorry, Richard.
Hello?
Just on that letter of intent, it's basically a good faith document. It's signed the day you purchase.
Okay.
Normally, it's a good faith document that the seller wants to sell, you want to buy. That's the price. These are conditions. It comes off the market once that's signed, so there's no gazumping, and then we progress to compromise. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you. Are you there, Hervé? No. Okay, we'll give him a chance to come back. Maybe you want to just pick up on that then, Chris, as we're talking about the process. So the letter of intent signed. The next thing is the compromis de vente, and how long?
Yeah, go to the compromis. Once you sign the compromis, you as the buyer get a 10-day calling off period where you can decide to withdraw.
And how soon after? How quickly do you sign the compromis de vente after signing the letter of intent?
It really depends.
Typically.
Yeah, agents work differently. We gather everything we need for the whole contract, then sign a compromis. Some people will sign a compromis early and then have clauses for the other things. We don't tend to do that. We tend to get everything together, then sign it, so there's no surprises for the buyer. But once the compromis is normally about 4 weeks from the letter of intent. Once you sign the compromis, the buyer gets a 10-day calling off period. The seller doesn't. So the buyer has 10 days to stick with it. They can pull out for any reason in that 10 days. Once the 10 days are up, they then have to pay 10% deposit, which is non-refundable. Okay. And from day 11, they're committed to purchase that property unless there's a clause in it. If they're buying a house that needs planning and they put a clause in the compromis that if planning doesn't come through by completion, they can withdraw, then they can withdraw on that basis only. Or for funding, sometimes there's a clause for a mortgage. If that mortgage doesn't come through, they can pull out using that clause and get their deposit back. But if you can't pull out for any other reason than a clause in the compromis, you can't just change your mind. If you change your mind, you'll lose your deposit, you'll lose your 10%. And it's about 8 weeks from compromis to final act. So it's about a 3-month process from offer to getting your keys.
Brilliant. That's my next question. And let's deal with this question from Katie now. She asked, what's the difference between an advocate or a lawyer and a notary? Do you want to just talk about the role of the notaire in France? Because they're not, although they are legally trained, legally accredited, they're not actually acting as your solicitor, are they?
No, an advocate's obviously probably way more qualified than a notaire. A notaire is very much like a conveyancer in the UK. They act for the property, they do property transactions, they can do wills as well and things like that if you want to write a will and land changes. But the notaire is someone who gets involved once we get an offer, once we sign a letter of intent. The compromis will sometimes be signed by the notaire, not the agent, depending on the client's wishes. But the notaire normally acts for both people, seller and buyer. There's one fee involved, it's not split. The buyer pays notaire fees, and on average, with the recent tax changes, they're about 8 to 9% of the purchase price. So if you're buying a house for 100,000, you need to allow 9,000 on top for notaire fees. That includes your equivalent of stamp duty. So that includes your tax for buying as well. So allow about 9% on top of the price. And the notaire is the one that takes the compromise, does all the other things like you would in the UK, like a local search, drains, all the other searches you might have to do to purchase a house. Similar things happen in France between exchange of contracts to compromise and completion. Once the notaire is happy with everything, she'll call you in, or they will say she's, our local one is a lady. They'll call you in, all parties go into the office and sign contract together, which is unusual. Seller and buyer will be there with the notaire, with us, the agent, so we can make sure you're happy. If you can't get to the office, you can sign by proxy. So a proxy can be sent to you via DocuSign, and you can sign a proxy for the notaire to sign on your behalf, and they will sign that contract on your behalf once you've approved it, and they can do the same for completion. If you can't get out for completion, they can sign the final deed on your behalf, and then you can pick the keys up whenever you can get out here. So if you can't be here, it's great to be here, because completion is when we go back to the house that morning, check it's all okay, check you're happy before you fully commit yourself to buy it. We want to make sure you're happy. So we'll have another hour at the house, read the meters, check everything's working before we go to the notaire and sign. We can still do that if you're not here. We can do it via WhatsApp video or something like that. But if you, a lot of people don't come for the compromise, but they come for the final act. So, but we can do either. Yeah. Either works, and we can set up either.
Perfect, thank you. So really, I suppose the answer to the question is that the note, you have to have a note. The transaction has to be rubber stamped, if you like, authorised by a notaire.
Correct.
Who is government appointed to approve of the property transaction, and that everything is in order in terms of paperwork.
Correct.
And they're there as acting for both the buyer and seller. Whereas your own personally appointed solicitor will only be acting for you and will be, well, correct, probably checking things the notaire does, but just ensuring the contracts are as you want them for you as their client.
Yeah, notaires are very strict. Notaires won't let you sign a contract if bits are missing or everything's not in place. They won't let you complete. They're very strict. They do look after you.
Brilliant. And who chooses the notaire for a transaction? Is it normally the agent? Who you suggest one because you know them in the area?
We'll suggest one we work with that we know well, that works well with us. But sometimes buyers will be recommended one by a friend or something. They might want to use that one, but 90% of the time it's the one that we recommend, that we've got a good relationship with, that we know will do a good job.
Brilliant. Okay, just to recap, budgeting for your purchase, you said 8% more or less.
8 to 9% price. Yeah,
8 to 9%. And then if you have will that include legal fees if you are employing an independent lawyer as well?
No, if you their fees. No, some buyers will use. There's solicitors in the UK that will act alongside a notaire for you and make sure they're doing everything properly. Yeah. But you'll probably pay another 5,000 for that. And I personally don't think it's necessary, but because the notaire is legal people, they're not going to do anything wrong. But if you want to have someone run alongside the notaire in the UK, there's people that do it, but they will charge you about €5,000 to do that alongside the notaire. Okay. And I think it delays things a little bit as well sometimes. But it's your choice. We can work either way.
I guess for that extra layer of protection and reassurance, that's when you use something like Hervé, I suppose.
Yeah.
And your fees as well. We haven't, how do agents get paid? Do you charge buyers a fee, or is it included in the price? Or
we have a seller mandates and buyer mandates, but ultimately the buyer's paying the fee. If the price is 100, if it's on at 160,000, you offer 150,000. That will include the agent's fees. And the net figure goes to the seller. The difference comes to the agent. It's just a case whether the seller or the buyer signs off the invoice for us, really. But ultimately, whatever price you offer will include the fees for the agent on the house.
And I guess the key thing for everyone listening is just check all that before you make an offer. Or
it's all very clear. With us, it's very clear. Yeah, it's very clear on our brochures that what fees are paid by who. Yeah.
Fantastic. Thanks for covering a bit more there, Chris. Right, we've got some time left.
Can you hear me, Richard?
I can hear you, Hervé.
Okay.
Good to have you back. We're going to move to Tracy now, just because we're running out of time a bit.
Okay. We'll I can stay on, no problem. I mean, no issues. Sorry.
Okay, thank you. All right, Tracy, thanks for waiting. How you doing? You're still there. Great, you can hear us.
Yes, I can hear you.
So we've got our agent, we've got our independent lawyer, and the third equally valuable member of our buying team is our currency specialist. Do you want to just tell us why what you do is so important, because not everyone realises that, you know, how important the services of currency specialists are. And if they need to send money abroad or anywhere, they usually just go to their bank. But that really is not advisable when you're sending large amounts of a different currency to a foreign country.
Yeah, I mean, what you've first got to understand is that the rate of exchange is so volatile, especially at this moment in time. A lot of factors that can affect the rate of exchange is completely out with our control. There is political factors with changes of prime ministers or presidents. There can be the war in the Ukraine can affect the rate of exchange as well. So there's lots of different things that can actually affect that rate of exchange. And what you've got to understand is that as soon as you have had an offer accepted on a property, between that date and your completion date, then your budget is at risk of a rate fluctuation. So, for example, if you're buying a property in the UK for £250,000, it costs you £250,000. If you buy a property in France for €250,000, it's going to cost you €250,000. But between the time that you have your offer accepted, that could cost you £220,000, for example. And then with a rate of exchange movement that can be quite significant, that can then cost you £240,000 by the time it comes to completion, or even more, depending on how the rate has actually moved. Normally, there would be a completion would be about 3 months from accepted offer to completion. But if you're buying a new build, for example, then this time it can be greatly extended to a year, 18 months. What kind of risk does that give to your budget between having that offer accepted and then you actually come into completion? How does that affect your budget if you've then got to go and find £20,000 more to buy that property?
So yeah, I mean, this is something that you shouldn't just consider last minute, is it? Oh, it's something you should plan. You should plan. So when should people start considering currency? When should they really start talking to people like yourself at Smart Currency Exchange?
Well, as soon as they decide that they actually want to look at buying a property, because we are experts in this field. We've been doing this for over 20 years. We are experts in large transactions for property purchases. So what we can do is we can work with you. We can give you the advice. We can give you information about what can move the rate of exchange for you. We can give you guidelines, help and assistance as to when you do find a property, do you need to get a mortgage? Do you need to look at your investments that you need to be cashing in? We can work together with you to come up with a bespoke plan of action that will be your currency plan, so that when the time comes that you find your perfect property, then everything is in place.
Perfect. And you talked about how the exchange rate moves between the point of making an offer and completion. Well, it moves every second. So and that exposure is what we call currency risk. So what can you do? Because there are ways of protecting yourself from that. And like you said, when you're buying a property, you're talking about, it's a high ticket item. You're talking about large amounts of money, and even the smallest change in the exchange rate will scale up to quite a lot of money. It could be the difference between a new bathroom, if you like, or covering your 8% buying costs. So what can you do at Smart Currency Exchange to minimise your exposure, a client's exposure to currency risk?
Okay, well, we've got different services that we can offer clients. We've got what we call a spot contract, which is you agree the rate of exchange, you send us the funds, and then we pay the funds out to the beneficiary that you ask us to pay out to. If you are buying a property, for example, What we can do is we can actually work with you, and you can agree a rate of exchange in what's called a forward contract. Now, a forward contract is you locking in the rate, in effect. On average, it would be for 3 months from the agreement of the property purchase until your completion date. But we can lock it in for longer, for 6 months, for a year. We can lock it in for even longer if needed. Now, what we do with a forward contract is that you agree the rate of exchange as it stands now, and then you give us an agreed deposit, a small deposit that's required, and then you have got peace of mind that you know exactly how much that property is going to cost you. So it's £220,000 that's going to cost you for a €250,000 property. That's how much it's going to cost you when you come to complete.
Perfect. So the point here is that when you're buying overseas, in France or anywhere else, you're not speculating on the currency markets. What you need to know is your budget will achieve what you want it to achieve in pounds and euros in France, and one way of ensuring that is using a forward contract. And what would happen in the situation where you've agreed a forward contract, but the purchase falls through? What would happen in that situation? I mean, you've paid a deposit. What would happen?
Well, we can roll that contract on, because obviously you still want to be buying a property in France. So we can roll that contract and keep that rate of exchange locked in for you until you can find the next property.
Perfect. The money's not going to disappear, is it? It's still going to be available from Smart Currency Exchange. Yeah. Great. And maybe just talk about the protection and the accreditation that Smart Currency Exchange has, because we hear so much about online fraud and scams and that sort of thing. But obviously, Smart Currency is based in London. It's regulated in the UK. It's safe, if not safer than using a bank. So that just reassure our audience.
Okay, so in order for us to be regulated and authorised by the Financial Conduct Authority, there are so many different levels that we have to comply with in order to keep that registration. And one of them is, as you say, to be able to protect our clients' funds. So all funds that we receive or pay out in our bank accounts that we hold at Smart Currency Exchange are completely segregated client accounts. They are completely separate from our business accounts. So if anything was to happen to the business, then these funds cannot be touched.
Perfect. And the other thing to mention is it's not just euros that you can exchange and send for clients. I mean, you work across multiple countries and send to multiple currencies to multiple countries. And the other thing that you do, of course, is you can help with smaller transfers or regular transfers. So once someone has purchased their property in France, they're going to need to make payments to their French bank account to cover the running costs, utilities bills, maybe mortgage repayments, and you can set up regular payment plans for them. Is that right?
Absolutely. I mean, it's not only pounds to euros that we can deal with. It's all the large currencies that we deal with, and some smaller currencies as well. In most countries in the world, we can deal with these current currencies, but we can also set up different things for you. So it's not just the large property purchase or property sale funds that we can deal with. We can also deal with mortgage payments, pension payments that you want to come over to France, living costs. You can do smaller trades as well. So not only could you speak to your dedicated account manager, but we also have an online platform that you can use up to £15,000. And again, with if you've got regular payments that you need to send over to your French bank account, you can either do it on a monthly basis and agree the rate of exchange on a monthly basis, or you can also book a forward contract for 3 months, 6 months, or 12 months for a monthly payment plan. So that's also available as well.
Great. And the final thing we should say is for people who are listening who haven't registered yet, very easy process. You can do it online. You can ring Smart up and register your details. It's no obligation, so if you never use them, there's no problem there. But the point is, you'll have someone at the end of an email, end of the phone, when you do need to make a transfer, and you've got one-on-one communications there for reassurance. And the other thing, of course, Smart does is you do regular email newsletters and alerts to rate, basically news, keeping people updated on the currency markets. So if you are waiting for the rate to move in one direction or the other before you decide to do a transfer, you can assist with that as well.
Yes, we can set up what we call an order to call. If you're looking at a rate that you want to achieve, so if the rate of exchange actually comes to the price that you need or want to achieve, we can give you a call and say, do you want to agree a rate of exchange now? We can also set up an order to buy, which in effect means that we have it set up that as soon as the rate of exchange hits the amount that you have set, then we will buy the agreed amount on your behalf. So there's lots of different ways that we can assist people. There's lots of different services that we can help, with your currency planning, regular payments, buying and selling properties, all different currencies. We're here at the end of the phone, so we're not invisible. We're here to give you that help and advice. And we're always contactable. You can email us, you can call us, and you can also WhatsApp us as well if you need to get any advice or if you need to make a transaction.
Okay, thank you very much. Perfect. 5 minutes left. We've got some questions here, so let's have a look at those. It's one for you, Chris, from Andrew. Not sure about this, but I'm sure you'll tell us. He says he's decided to buy on a property to buy.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds like a private purchase, someone he knows. Is it still worthwhile engaging your services to help that purchase go through? And if so, on what basis would that be in terms of fees? So he doesn't need you to find his property, but he wants, I guess, some kind of support to help it go through.
Two types of things we can do with that. We offer a concierge service. Basically, if you're buying through privately, we'll charge 50% of what we normally charge, and we'll deal with the notaire. We'll do everything for you with the seller. We'll renegotiate if you need to renegotiate the price. We'll do everything we'd normally do, but for 50% of our normal fees because we didn't find you the house. Or if you want to tap into our concierge service for removals, visas, all the other things, you're more than welcome to do that, and we can let you know the local agent. If you want to work one of our agents to work with our visa companies and people like that, removals, we don't charge a fee for that. We just have one point of contact, and we'll put you in touch with them all, and we'll liaise with them for you and get everything set up.
Brilliant, thank you. And I suppose the other person who you might want to get involved is an independent lawyer, just to check everything is being done as it should do. Is that right, Hervé? Someone who's doing a private purchase.
Yes, that would be advisable because there are certain clauses you may want to put in for your protection. You have to make sure that issues with the property are covered in the contract, because the principle is that you buy the property as seen without recourse against the vendor, unless you can prove that he was aware of a defect that he failed to reveal. But the burden of proof can sometimes be difficult to discharge. So absolutely, yes, it's a safe precaution to do that, indeed.
Okay, thank you. Another question, probably for you, Chris. You might have some knowledge of this area. It's a geographical one, really, from Craig. He says he wants to relocate, or he plans to relocate to Bordeaux over the summer, and he's looking for the best area to live in. He's got a dog, so he needs a large garden. And one place he's considered is Blanquefort. Don't make you know that. It's in the northwest area. Also Bruges, he said, or Bruges. Is there a Bruges down there? Wait,
there is.
A Bruges in Belgium.
There is. Actually.
Is there?
I've got an uncle living there, so I know.
Ah.
Perfect.
What's it like?
Is it a nice?
Is it a nice?
Yes, it's quite a nice area. Yeah, it's not very far from Osgore, for example, which is on the ocean. It's quite nice area, but I don't know it very well, so I wouldn't be able to.
Well, I mean, one thing for sure, the wines will be fantastic.
Oh yes.
If you're down there, I'm sure. Well, that's most of
We have agents down there, so if you get in contact with us, we can put you in contact with one.
Perfect. He says it's not so far from Bergerac, so that's another option for flying, I guess.
Yeah, we have
flying
lots of agents around Bergerac, so.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Hervé. Thanks, Chris. Another one. Again, Chris, this is from Debbie. She's looking in Brittany or Normandy.
Yep.
I don't know if you cover that, or do you have affiliates that you can put her in touch with? Or
we don't cover that area, but if you go to a company like Leggett, who are very similar international agent to us, they cover that area quite hard. We don't cover that area at the moment. We will do at some point, but not at the moment. But Leggett are a very similar operation, and they cover that area.
Okay. Well, the team here might have another contact who's up there actually. So worth talking to one of the representatives at your overseas home. Alfred asked, Hervé, where are you based in the UK again, Hervé? Just remind people. Maybe he's planning on a visit.
So I'm in Bishop Stortford, near Stansted Airport in Hertfordshire. Yeah. And we have other offices in Cambridge, Chelmsford, etc. But I'm in the big office of Bishop Stortford. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. This is a good question. Sharon asked, is there a second home stamp duty penalty in France? So if you've got if it's a second home, do you pay more stamp duty?
No,
transfer.
Not at all.
What do you call it? Transfer tax?
No. It's going to be exactly the same. The only tax implication of having a second home is that if it's not your main home, you will pay a local tax called the taxe d'habitation. It's one of those local taxes. But French people also pay if it's not their main home, So yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's nice to hear. Not like over here now in the UK. And then a final one, smart currency. What service can you offer to US citizens, Tracy, and their currency needs?
Same service as we offer to all our clients.
Yeah, same service. Brilliant.
Yeah. So if it was a US client based in the United States buying a property in France, then it's exactly the same service. We can offer spot contracts, forward contracts, order to buy, order to call, but we can also give you the hand-holding service and the help and advice that you need. It's not just, like I said before, British pounds to euros. We deal in all major currencies.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Okay, we're over time. Let's just remind, I know we've had a few questions asking for confirmation of your companies actually. So Tracy, I'm at your Smart Currency Exchange. Chris Summers, Beaux Villages Immobilier, and Hervé Blattery, your TEES Law, TEES Law. But all the information you can get from the team here at your overseas home anyway. Thank you to you guys for giving up your time. 3 very important people for anyone looking to buy a property in France. Really appreciate you coming on here and answering questions, putting yourself in the firing line. Like I said, they can all be contacted after this, so please make use of having them. This has been recorded, this session, so you can revisit it via a link on the website via the on-demand link. One final request from the team here: if you have found this useful and you're feeling generous, then we'd really appreciate a review on the review website Trustpilot. Entirely up to you, of course. Otherwise, that's it from us. Thank you very much, Tracy, Chris, and Hervé. Enjoy your evening. And to everyone watching, good luck with your plans to buy in France.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.